Recording in progress.
Okay, calling this morning meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Director King Meredith.
Present.
Director Suddis.
Aki.
Present.
Vice President Rentila.
Here.
President Alvarado.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, so you may observe a moment of silence. Seated or standing, Vice President Rentila, please lead us through the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
General Counsel Nicole Witt will serve as parliamentarian for tonight's meeting.
As a reminder to members of the public in attendance, the board has adopted rules governing the conduct of its public meetings. Public participation is welcome and encouraged. All public comments should be addressed to the board as a body, and the board asks that you please respect the 3-minute time limit per speaker. All persons attending board meetings shall observe the rules, any additional rules the board may establish, and the orders of the president with respect to the conduct of the meeting. No person may disrupt or disturb the board meeting. Disturbing, impeding, or otherwise preventing the orderly conduct of the board meeting could result in an individual's removal from the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Directors, before we begin tonight's agenda, I ask that you be mindful of the board's rules of decorum, in particular to practice civility and decorum in discussions and debate. In order to preserve the order of this and every board meeting, directors will wait to speak until they are recognized, and you will restrict your comments to the motion or the agenda items under consideration. Thank you. Now it's time for public comments on items not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak for tonight's meeting?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on non-agenda items, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, thank you. General Counsel Nicole Witt, please announce the closed session agenda.
The board will now convene into closed session as described in the agenda. Now is the time for public comments. Madam Clerk, have you received any public comments or requests to speak on closed session items 1, 2, or 3?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on a closed session item, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
We'll now convene into a separate room for closed session. We'll turn to open session at the conclusion and report out if needed.
Okay, we're now adjourned into closed session, correct? Thank you.
But the green beans are good too.
Robin, you know what the difference between the two boxes is?
No, no. No, I mean, there was only five. There was only five vegetarian. Some might be cheese, so I think it's a cheese. Yeah, this is a vegetarian.
The regular calendar, I thought it was gonna be on essential.
Tell me what you need.
They pay people wage, and there's other stuff that they kind of get covered.
So I do want to say thanks for just in your feedback on the new one. Well, if you want to give it, is there any changes, like it was asked, like, do you have to see anyone different? You know.
I didn't know.
The one I had you doing the national plan, we were looking, remember, Gordon gave the okay, is to approve the purchase order.
We do impossible.
You didn't sign off on. Yeah. That's why I said thank you. And he said, I guess you also said if everything was in one place. It's actually my profession.
Very possible. We have so many contracts, for when things work out. Versus when I had to go into ink code, it was like,
Click, 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 yeah.
well, the biggest issue for me is I don't go in ink code office, so every time I go in, I can't get in. And it's a whole thing with, I was gonna call some player, what's our,
Apex.
Apex.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll look at your calendar and see if I can, I'll text you a couple days.
Okay, that sounds good.
So he approved that on the 15th, but I didn't find out about it until like a day ago. It said
So it's not working for him, but it's working for me.
notification yesterday, so I was like, oh.
So that's because Harish has to click a button, and so Harish put it in ERP
Okay,
yesterday.
okay, got it.
So what happens, just so you understand, it goes from the originator to somebody in finance for your support, goes to Harish. She's gonna look at it, she's gonna control the documentation, if there's questions, she escalates it to me, like she did escalate it, I don't know how she was in that meeting. So I had to explain to her that.
Wrong pipe.
To Ariel.
Oh, you sneeze?
And then once she.
Oh, okay.
sends it off, it goes.
That's what I thought.
Once I clicks it, then she has to click a button saying she put it in ERP, which is where you get notified.
Oh, okay.
So, see, it goes boop, 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 boop.
Does it, yeah, and then.
And then
it's over at some point.
Yeah, so I only approve requisitions to POs twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. So she told me today, and so that's one of my jobs to do while I'm sitting here tonight, is to get all the POs so I can have time this month. To get them home. So I do it 2 days a week, so yeah. So they're either gonna hit Monday or Wednesday, day and time. And then when I do it, she gets a notification on your, or on Monday.com. It's a little bit of a process, but we got it, we're working it out.
Marie.
It's actually a lot better. We eliminated quite a bit because like Michael said, it was hard for them to get into the system and then, just the amount of clicks that you have to do in the system to show the documentation. With Laserfish, I quickly look at it, so even though a read, so just, and this is for Aaron too, if a read or Galvin pass it out, pass it through, when it hits ERP, that's when I stop the PO. Like if there's something wrong, I will stop it mid-transaction. So you might get that notification, but then you'll get an email from me.
Something like that.
And then your computer goes,
Huh.
I'm your last, what do you call it, check.
My computer is not letting me.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it?
I don't understand.
I'm responsible.
yearly thing. Does the county have a role in that?
The county does not, it's independent auditor, but we do have to send our audit to the county to show that we are in compliance. So the county does receive a copy of our audit. And I
I was
think
looking
that
at
was the
their-
last takes it over, we're within compliance, and then the state controller.
I was looking at the county's webpage, I was, I saw somewhere, I was like, oh, they audit special districts or something.
So if we start looking like we're not thresholds or LAFCO flags us, right, then the county can step in. But we have a team on.
My computer is not letting me sign in for some reason. I changed my password today. And I think somehow it got messed up once I took it off the network, because I did it on the network cord.
Okay, so now that this quick pass is working, only change through the quick pass. It makes it so much easier. Do you have quick pass?
Last time I'll look at it again because I had it. No, I know what it is, but when I had it wasn't working.
Neither was mine. Yermo just fixed mine today, and I opened up 3 different tickets. So apparently I got Yermo's personal cell now. He got me because we saw him.
So
What?
if I change it while I'm connected to the VPN, it's all good.
Not be.
So if I'm at home and I'm on the VPN,
They don't recommend. It should be, but they don't recommend it.
if, it says like you should change your password in 5 days or whatever, if you don't change it and it times out of you and says like you have to change it now, I'm totally screwed.
Yeah, that's true.
So same
That's
thing
true.
for you. You see, I just changed mine because we're all supposed to change in 90 days. This app right here will tell you when you change it through the app. That's what Yermo told me. Change it just through the app, and then it pings. And it worked yesterday, like fine.
So yeah, if I have that problem, I either have to come here or for them to figure it out, or it takes them like hours and hours and hours for them to do something like computer about it.
Wow.
Telling you quick pass is like,
Okay. I had to restart for some reason. I restarted it and it worked. I think it's something about me having just pulled it off the network without shutting it down. Yeah, I don't know. It's just being weird. Whatever. I'm good now.
It is now 7:20, and the board is back in session. The board meeting is back in session. General Counsel Nicole Witt, anything to report out?
There's no reportable action.
Okay, well, thank you so much. General Manager Andrew Clow will now lead us through the rest of the agenda. Yeah, sure is.
Thank you, Mr. President. The consent calendar consists of items 4 through 6 on the agenda. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on consent calendar items?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on consent calendar items 4 through 6, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
With no comments, Mr. President, I recommend the board approve consent calendar items 4 through 6.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion and a second on approval of the consent calendar items 4 through 6.
So moved.
Items been moved?
Second.
Items been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
On the motion by Director Weiner and seconded by Vice President Rentila to approve consent calendar items 1 through 6, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes 5-0.
Sorry, I didn't say aye. My fault.
Oh, we're still at 5-0.
Next item.
His vote doesn't count twice? Yeah. Thank you. Next on the agenda is regular calendar item 7, which is to approve a license agreement with Contra Costa County for use of the Montara Bay Ball Field. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 7?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 7, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
The license agreement is for the use of the Monterey Bay Ball Field for staging and operating equipment during the Terra Hills Forest Main Assessment Project. The license agreement requires West County Wastewater to pay a fee of $49,990 to Contra Costa County, as well as to restore the site to its original condition following our possession of the property. If there are any questions or comments from the board, or I can ask staff to give a brief presentation if you'd like, Mr. President.
All right, well, let's go down and find out if we have any questions, first of all. Director Weiner?
Is it the understanding of the district that the ball field is not currently in use?
Okay, now I'm going to ask Michael that you could please come up. Michael? Thank you. And just introduce yourself and can answer that
Good
question.
evening, Michael Savannah, Director of Infrastructure and Planning. And I hate to do this to you all, but Will Silver is here. He actually has a better understanding of what the being used for.
Good to see all of us. Yeah, we're trying to get you the closest to the source of the information rather than filtering through a few of us.
It's really important, so I'm glad.
Well, we're.
It's my honor. So I'm
Will
Will
Silver.
Silver, Project Manager in the Capital Portfolio Division. And to your question, it's my understanding that the ball field has not been used since before COVID. I do believe they had some aspirations to start up a program again. The field was in a state of disrepair, and we have had some delays with our project. So they potentially delayed some that field earlier last spring. So now we'd like to, like I said, the field hasn't been used since before COVID. They don't have any reservations to use the field currently, but they have decided this is an appropriate fee to offset what they're potentially could be earning from some type of rental.
It's all true.
No problem.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, let's go down the line. Director King Meredith? You good? Okay. Director Salif?
Just a quick question. Do you know how, and just for the public's benefit, do you know how they calculated the fee? Could you, do we have any idea of how they came up with this fee?
We've requested some information, and we did get a letter back from them. It was not very specific about what their formula was for the fees. So I can share that with the board.
It just lists basically what the types of, it was a fee for use of the property, for restoration of the property, for lost revenue, if teams weren't using it, all the types of things that you would typically see in a ball field lease if there was some disruption to their activities, but we don't know the actual formulas that they used.
So, for instance, for the teams using the field or the loss of revenue for the teams using the fields, did they like break that down? Like during the ball season, there is a specific amount of time during baseball season, right? It's usually from February to the end of June is baseball season, and there's an amount that THRA, Terra Hills Recreational Association, pays to use the fields, right? So there's an amount that's paid. So is that listed anywhere? I'm only asking, but like I say, I know that my sons used to play in that league. So is that somewhere, or is this just, a made-up fee? I'm just saying because we do need to have this somewhere captured so that we can tell the public why we're paying $49,900. It would just be useful to know.
I completely understand. Michael's gonna.
Sure. I guess the short of it is we don't have that level of detail. We have sort of high level. This is what they feel like is an appropriate fee. It's the best fee that we can negotiate, and we actually worked really closely with Hampton Bridget, and we back and forth, and our understanding is that, the fee can be what the fee is, and at the end of the day, we need the field to do the project, so we don't have that level of detail.
Okay, thank you.
All set?
And as part of the back and forth, there is some breakdown of this was the fee for use and this was an additional fee for restoration. So there is a breakdown of what those different, for lost use, et cetera. And our alternative to this is considerably more expensive. This is by far the most affordable and the most convenient alternative for us to use for this project.
Yep, and I just want to clarify, if you don't mind, Andrew, the restoration is separate from this agreement. We're actually going to restore the field
I'm sorry.
separate from this agreement.
Okay, so as long as we have that on file of what it is, I think I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, thank you. VP Rentila?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the duration of the lease.
It's from November 12th through December 30th of 25.
So 2024 to 2025.
Yeah, so it's.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You do have a question? Go ahead.
I just have a question for you. Matter of fact, it's two. One of the things almost touching what Director Sutter is saying, for the uses of that field and seasonally, playing baseball and playing, soccer and doing this and doing several. It hadn't been used prior to COVID, correct? Do you know how many years back it hadn't been used? Because of looking at other fields and the uses of the fields that it usually have a monetary. For example, if you was to use Shields Reed, you would go to Parks and Recreation and you have a rental fee in order to play seasonal. If you're going to do hockey, if you're going to do soccer, or if you're going to do baseball, and even, at that point, they have so many weeks to do this and that. So I don't know if the calculations was given to you where they was missing X amount of dollars for seasonal when it's time to be played, and if that was turned into the thought of what it costs for that field itself.
Director King Meredith, what I can say facilities director at Napa Valley College. We had very distinct rates for different seasons and different user groups, and we had a process when reservations had to come in, and this was not the case.
So they didn't have that to produce to you at this time?
No,
Okay,
they
in order
didn't
to-
provide that level. Essentially, we're trying to lease a piece of property for our use during the project. They had the property, and they told us how much it was going to be, and here's the general reasons that they are what they're charging for. But as far as details of each one, or how much use, or what the actual loss of revenue was, none of that was provided.
No documentations of that to really substantiate what they're asking for that amount of money. It's the same as Director Sutter was asking.
Yeah.
I had kind of got amnesia, but that's what I want, yeah.
It's unlikely to get that kind of detail from them. We've asked for a little bit more detail, and they've kind of given us what we're going to get, and so what it was for, the types of things the fee were for. But it's a piece of real property that they're leasing. They could have told us it was $100,000, and that would be legitimate, and we would say, wow, that's too much, we can't
Yeah.
do that. And essentially, it's a negotiation like that. We would, like to know that it's, a reasonable and fair price, and are they using it? Maybe it's not worth as much, but for us, it's a valuable piece of property that we need, and our alternatives are more expensive, and they aren't, breaking it down for us like that when we've asked.
Okay.
Only the types of reasons, the types of conditions, what's the right word? A fee and a lost revenue, what's the word I'm searching for?
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I understand, but after next year, after it's used, and then we're going to do a renovation and bringing it back to a level, and this is separate, this would be a separate cost?
There'll be some additional costs. We've had a consultant come and evaluate the current condition, document it, so we have a baseline of what we're restoring.
To deal with.
Yep.
Okay.
What was the restoration? It isn't that you used our field, now you got to get it ready for play and have the
Yeah,
chalk
really
lines.
pad it out.
It's that if we don't know exactly what it'll cost, because we don't know what kind of damage we might cause to the property. We don't expect to, but there'll be some. They'll be moving a lot of heavy equipment around there, and so we need to restore it to the condition that it was in when we took over the lease.
Okay, all right.
And lastly, Director King, Meredith, I will say, when the baseball team comes to play, they play for a couple hours, they go home. Our tank is, our activity is going to be 24 hours. It's a different type of activity than what their rates are set up for normally. So it's a different scenario with this negotiation of the lease.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, well, I suggest an amendment to the motion to include the amount of the license fee. I move that the board approve a license agreement with Contra Costa County to use the Monte Ball Field for the staging and operating equipment during the Tar Hills Force Main Assessment Project for a fee of $49,990 and authorize the general manager to execute the same. Can I have a motion, please? Oh, second, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
On the motion by President Alvarado and seconded by Vice President Rentila to approve regular calendar item 7 as amended, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, next on the agenda is a regular calendar item 8, which is to approve a contract with McGrath Rent Corporation, DBA Mobile Modular Management Corp. For equipment and delivery services for one 36 by 60 modular office building at the Water Quality and Resource Recovery Plant. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 8?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, well, we need some introduction and background on this, and I guess that's going to be Aaron. Or maybe not.
Good evening, President Alvarado, directors and staff. My name is Aaron Weiner, Director of Water Quality and Resource Recovery. The item that we have before you tonight, the contract approval with McGrath, is for a new modular office building for West County Wastewater's maintenance staff. The existing modular they've used is 30 years old. It's leaky, it has mold, dry rot, and is in poor shape. So the lead time to manufacture the new office space, the proposed McGrath building, is about 6 months. And in the interim, staff has been relocated and will be coming back to you in the near future for an interim solution, assuming this item is approved, for the 6 months till we get it on the ground. So that is the nature of the item, and thank you for your consideration. I'll take questions.
Thank you, Aaron. Unless I missed it, if I did, I apologize, Aaron. But the modular that you're talking about for purchase here is going to be something that'll be in place from 3 to 5, 6 years?
5 to 7.
5
is
to
what
7 years. So it's a significant period of time, so different than just the quick interim. We're going to drag a construction trailer to the site, to get us through this winter. We can't have our employees in an unsafe building. And then as part of discussions when we go through our strategic planning process, these are the kinds of things that we'll talk about, is what do we want to do long-term with facilities as opposed to our collection system or further improvements at the treatment plant. Where are we going to want to spend our money? We can prioritize it through our master planning process where we see critical needs are, but then some of these other things, what kind of facility, to what extent, and those will be some further discussions that we'll have. But this is to give we need something that's more than just a construction trailer, but short of some kind of a permanent structure. I guess we would call it a semi-permanent maintenance facility.
Yes, and the last one has lasted 30 years.
Yeah,
so.
There you go.
All right. Sounds good. All right, are there any questions or comments from members of the board? We'll start with Director Weiner.
Yes, Mr. Weiner, I have a question. This could be in place for quite some time?
We expect it will be, yes.
Yeah. So, okay. It looked pretty substantial. I went on the website, and it looked like a pretty nice building. And but they also had gently used buildings for sale on their website. So should we somehow have a windfall and be able to create a permanent structure? Is there anything in the contract about selling it back to the company for resale?
It's not something that we've looked at. I mean, we're anticipating bringing that in and having it for 5 to 7 years, as I mentioned. We can come back with that information, I guess, but it is a little bit time sensitive just because of the situation we're in. So,
Well, thank you. That's pretty much my question.
thanks.
Okay, thank you. Director King Meredith?
Not at this time. It's needed, from what I see. A building as old as it is and has all these different, problems in it. We don't need our employees, the staff to be sick. So it's good that you all are looking at it.
We have to take care of our staff.
Yeah,
for
you have to
sure.
take care of your staff and the employees. Yes. So that's just my comment. So
Thank you.
I'm for it.
If I may, through the chair, just one more thing for Director. We did look at some other alternatives as we were going through this. It's actually been probably 2 to 3 months that we've really been looking at this, and so we did consider alternatives such as a used facility, but just decided that this was the direction because of the time frame. So. And we've also had a growth in our maintenance staff, whereas we used to have 6 or 7, now we're up to 10. So we need more space.
Just to respond to that, I wasn't thinking that you should have bought a used one. The numbers, the size of the building that you're buying is far larger than most, if not all, of the ones that they had available. So on size alone, I'm sure you had to get a brand-new one.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm done. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Dr. Suttoff?
Thank you. And two things. Yeah, I'm glad to see you're going through a cooperative. Thank you. I know that that's a lot. It's a much more swift method of attaining the unit than issuing a full-blown RFP. So since Sourcewell has already done the footwork for you, but a 6-month lead time is still pretty long. So what's the plan in the meantime?
Well, we are looking at what those alternatives are, and we can get a year's lease, and that's probably what we'd look at for, with something that may be gently used for the time being.
Okay.
So, but that's our next step, and we will come back to you with that.
Okay, and then I may have misunderstood Director Wiener's question, so he may have to correct me. But I thought I heard, and my ears may have misheard. I thought I heard him saying that once we finish with this in 5 to 7 years, that we could sell this back to the company. Is that what you were saying? Or are you saying something different? Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying. Not that we would buy a used one to begin with, but maybe we would consider selling it back to the company when
we have not asked
finished.
them that question, but it's certainly a question we can ask and look at what those options are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would delay us in proceeding forward with what we're doing, but it certainly could be something that we could have in our back.
Yes,
in our back.
and since we still have to, do a contract with them, those are questions we can ask and find out what that looks like.
Right. So I think that's, 6-month lead time. We are looking at an alternative for because it likely won't be here until late summer of next year, July, August maybe.
Yes, and we have moved our maintenance group out of their existing, so.
So they're, and do we have the contract ready already? Ready to go with Sourcewell? We're ready to go once we made this decision, so we can, is there a deposit necessary, or are we paying for it full upfront?
I don't have the answer to that.
I'm looking at GC.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the series of payments, I believe it's a pay and they'll deliver, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. It's like we said, we went through Sourcewell and.
Is this local, or is this local shipping, or are we gonna have, I'm just more interested if we're gonna have any kind of supplier issues. If it gets delayed.
The delivery and setup is included in the price.
Is this local, meaning is this domestic, or is this coming from outside the country?
It's local.
No, it is
Yes.
United States? Okay. I just want to make sure we're not gonna run into any issues, so I don't want to delay this process. This is my concern, that this is, I'm thinking of just making sure that we can make a decision fast, get these done, and that it doesn't get delayed by any kind of supply chain issues. So, okay, that was it. So it is United States. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. VP Rentila?
Yes, is this a standard work trailer?
It's a little bit more than that. It's got restroom facilities. I think it has a little kitchenette, and it's got a kind of gathering area. So again, we've got 10 maintenance folks now. So it's a little bit larger than your typical if you were to see the trailer that they have, or the modular that they have now.
40-footer.
It's basically the long, narrow type, and it's a challenge for our staff.
So what's going to happen with, what are the plans with this current trailer?
It will be demolished and removed.
Is it possible to give it to the city
It
of
has
Richmond?
negative value, meaning it's going to cost us money to remove. There is no value in the current structure whatsoever.
Okay, I was just curious if it could be used for like a warming center for the homeless or something.
No, no, it's
It's that bad?
Yes, our staff is temporarily using the small conference
Got it.
room because we don't want them to be in the building either.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for
tried.
that. Thank you.
All set, thank you.
I have no further questions. Yep.
So, can I move the item?
You sure can.
I move the item.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, the item's been moved and properly seconded. Yeah.
Yes, it was double seconded down here.
All right, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
On the motion by Director Suddeth and seconded by Director King Meredith to approve regular calendar item 8, those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is other business, item 9, which is to receive the quarterly investment report for the quarter ending September 30th, 2024. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 9?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 9, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you. Mr. President, staff are available to answer any questions the board may have regarding the September quarterly investment report.
Questions or comments from the board members? Director Weiner? Director King Meredith?
I have none.
Director Sutter?
Looks good, thank you.
All right, VP Rentila.
September 30th is my birthday. Thank you.
Thank you for that information.
Yes.
I have no
All right.
questions or comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. We have no further reports this evening, Mr. President. And with that, the final item on the agenda is item 10, Director's Comments, Meeting Reports. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments or requests to speak on item 10?
9. Are we on 9?
10. I finished 9.
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 10, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay, as a reminder, directors will report on meetings they attended for which they are seeking reimbursement or compensation from WCW and other matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the agency. We'll begin with Director Weiner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last meeting, I attended the Richmond Neighborhood Coordinating Council, the Richmond City Council, the El Sobrante Chamber of Commerce, and met with our general manager.
Okay, thank you. Director King Meredith?
Yes, thank you, President Alvarado. Yes, since the last time that we met, I had the opportunity to actually attend the AWE, which is the Association of Women in Water and Energy and Environmental Conference. And I was voted, and I was actually with Director Sutter, which had introduced me to this organization, which was phenomenal. Just to give a little highlights, but I will do a written report to further the experience that I had at this conference that took place on the 22nd through the 25th of October. It was women in the field of energy and environment, which has some very high key leadership positions dealing with environmental stakes of what is going to be prepared for the future, energy, which was being in place. They brought to the conference some things that they have been working on. One of the things, and Director Sutter did get a chance to bring one of the things that they shared at the conference, which was a new type of water container, which is made from sugar cane. And through my presentation, if I don't get a chance to show it, Director Sutter, she has one and she can actually show. It was very phenomenal, getting away from plastics, and Vanna has it here, to get away from plastics, and it was very phenomenal for the environment to start using sugar canes in order to have your water to be in the containers. The other thing was at the hotel itself, we had, if I may, Director Weiner, they were giving us aluminum containers to stay away from plastics. As you know, if you use plastics and put them into a cool area, refrigeration, they release little microscopic bioplastics at that point. So they were very innovative with the things that they had to produce and to show. It was over 250 women, all very high caliber. 3 days, 4 days that we were there. Some spectacular presentations. One, and I'm going to let, I know Director Sutter is going to more or less elaborate more on that, but we had one particular one that was there, and she was phenomenal. She had a master's in mechanical engineering. She had a master in engineering. She had a PhD, and also she was one of the chief executives in LA at the water plant, that she has been chosen out of 5 in the United States to head off the Olympics that will be taking place. Excellent. And she was Latina, one of the first Latinas. Very, very well spoken, very easy to have a conversation with, but very high powered. We had another individual, and she was a Filipino. Her thing was the field of wind turbines, and she was very phenomenal. And these are young women. And when I talked to when I talked to Director Sutter, I felt that, I say, all these young, I guess you call them Gen X that was there, they were just phenomenal in their leadership. But by the end of the day, and the end of that Friday, it was shown of the women that has been in the forefront. They had been in the, I guess, in the field for over 30 years, 30 and 40 years. And they were baby boomers at this time. And they had the opportunity to spearhead, to let the young women that were coming up, that things that you are doing, you can actually break the ceiling. So that was just a few of those things. It was just a phenomenon. I'm glad that that the board allowed me to be a part of it. It was very interesting, and I have told many, many women to be a part, to come and check it out at this point, because these are women that are breaking the ceiling, and they're doing phenomenal things that you wouldn't believe that they're in that field. So that was one. That was AWI. The next, I had the opportunity to be with Vice President Rentina, which are the last 3 days. I don't know if he's tired of looking at we tired of looking at each other, but we were in a conference and we started like 7:30 in the morning, heading out, and we returned something like 4 or 5 o'clock. But it was excellent. It was this was a specialty district leadership academy. And this is where we looked at different benefits for our organization, looking at diversity, looking at any and everything that would help a organization to grow and to give us the understanding so we could better be able to be good stewards for this company. So it was excellent for the last 3 days. So with that, I had a full day of training for the last 2 weeks. I think it's the last 2 weeks, but it was worthwhile. And I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to participate. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, and it was our pleasure to be able to prove that for you. Director Sadif?
Yes, sir. It's been a busy, 3 weeks, I think, since we have seen one another in person. As Director King Meredith said, we did go to the AWE conference. We're going to go through them. Got a bit of a headache, so I'm just going to run down. I did go to Richmond City Council, the Board of Supervisors, the hazmat, the Contra Costa hazmat meeting, the White House Council on Environmental Justice, our water education for Latino leaders, as well as 350 Bay Area monthly climate meeting, the climate action meeting, our untapped network meeting. We're getting ready for our annual meeting that's coming up in a couple of weeks. There is something else. A CAWEF meeting to get ready for CASA that's coming up, and the governor's water summit for water leaders. He invited Muslim environmental leaders to come and speak to him, and then to expand on what Director King Meredith just spoke of at the AWE conference. There were a couple of key meetings that we attended there that besides Ms. Quinones, the speaker, Ms. Janisa, she's with the LA Department of Water and Power, but what made her really special was that she grew up in Puerto Rico and she went to the University of Puerto Rico, and she told her story about that and how she went back to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. And then she came back to Los Angeles after going to work in Puerto Rico to rebuild the systems. And now, yes, she'll be in charge of LA's water systems, water and power systems for the Olympics. And if you haven't heard, there's a huge push for sustainability during the Olympics, and she will be helping with that. And that is going to be a really big effort. There was a lot of talking about generational thinking, and including tribal communities, and then what procedural justice looked like and who decides who participates in that justice. And so we were charged with, in all of our systems, in water and wastewater, is in making sure that we include our tribal communities in our procedural justice and in our discussions about everything that we do. And so we were able to talk about our experiences with the Levy project and how we did bring in the tribal community. And so a lot of people wanted to talk to us about what that looked like, and cooperatively working on issues. and then using science and research in all the work that we do. There was a really thoughtful schedule in some of the work, because everything, even when we talked about like the future of water and wastewater in California, it was still a focus on clean energy and the climate, but it also was just looking at success in a different way, and looking at it as the power discussion. And there was a session on applying the possibilities for artificial intelligence and what that looks like. So as Annie just, Director King Meredith just spoke of, I want to make sure that I can get you guys the notes, because there were some brilliant handouts. There was just some really brilliant women there. I mean, to be in a room with
all it. It was brains.
250, just really brilliant
Brilliant
women is just energetic. And it's always one of my favorite conferences, and just to have a holistic perspective of what water and treatment of water and respecting the land and bringing solutions from a very wide range of perspectives with that respect of the land is just very powerful. And for me, there's a beautiful balance to that kind of collaborative. And so thank you very much. Again, I appreciate the ability to go and to be able to share that experience and bring back that knowledge. There's a lot of information. I can't even download it. And it took me a good week to even process the notes. I took so many notes. And of course, everybody's trying to figure out how I write so small, but it was a lot of information. We do have the Biosolids conference coming up. And I did invite a lot of those women to that conference that's coming up in Davis. But again, thank you a lot. I will get you my notes. My head is like,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you, Director Self, and it was our pleasure to have you there, and Director King Meredith, and thank you for all the information you brought back. VP Rentila?
Well, yeah, I want to thank the district and Kate for participating in our trunk or treat at the Hilltop Community Church. We had our RNCC meeting, and we had nominations for our board members, and we'll have the official election in November. And speaking of elections, I want to congratulate board member Meredith King and Director Weiner for being re-elected to the board. Congratulations. Yeah, it's great. And I did go to the leadership training, the Leadership Academy conference with Director King Meredith, and it was a lot of information, financial policies and internal controls, navigating community engagement, just a great time listening to lawyers and being able to ask questions of law firms and being lectured. And it was just great being taught and learning from the professionals in their field. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Make mine brief. I attended the October 21st San Pablo Council meeting, where WCW presented a presentation to the City Council, and is very, very well received. Thank you, Andrew. On October 24th, I had the privilege of attending the EBMA briefing with President Lisa McIntosh, who is serving her last term with EBMUD. I believe she's retiring from EBMUD. And I was able to speak with her and take pictures with her, and the picture did appear in the drop. So thank you, Kate, for that. And then on the 24th, same day, I attended the Drop Turning 3 Ice Cream Social. That was very nicely done, well attended. enjoyed myself there, met a lot of the people that were there, said hello. It was a great experience. And that's it for me. That's my report. And let's see, do we have any? Excuse me? Oh, go ahead, Annie.
Thank you, President Alvarado. One other thing, and this is to the staff and to our general manager and the others leading staff, that we had a tour on the 29th, and we did not mention, and we forgot to mention the tour, and it was phenomenal. Our general manager did a fantastic job, along with the other department heads. It was the Construction Management Association of America, the CMAA, and it took place October the 29th from 9 a.m. to 11 at our Garden Track Road plant. And it was a wonderful turnout, a large busload from individuals all over the United States. And they were very curious to see what we were doing, and we had the clean and green. And just forgive me for not thinking about it, but it was an excellent tour. I've even learned more each time I go. But our general manager, Andrew, did a fantastic job along with the staff. So it was wonderful, and thank you so very much. And they really enjoyed the tour. You could hear the oohs and ahs and the whole bit, but it was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Reynolds is the aforementioned staff she's referring to.
Yes.
Keith did a great job in his
yes.
presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Clerk, are there any announcements?
There is an Infrastructure, Operations, and Environment Committee meeting scheduled for November 12th at 10 a.m., a Finance and Administration Committee meeting scheduled for November 14th at 9 a.m., and the next regular meeting is scheduled for November 20th here at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, thank you very much. And before I'm going to adjourn this meeting in honor of my stepson, who was unexpectedly died on Saturday morning, early morning hours. His name is Robert Christopher Hicks Dunning. So in his memory, I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 8:07.
They need to fix that clock.
Yeah. It's going to be a while. Condolences. Thank you.
It's too young.
Much too young.